Please welcome His Holiness in a very simple way. And children love you, Dalai Lama Ji. Don't you love him? Thank you very much. May I request Mr. Mishra now to offer the khata to Dalai Lama Ji. Today, His Holiness will speak to us on universal responsibility and compassion. His Holiness, the Dalai Lama.
I always emphasize 7 billion human beings, mentally, emotionally, physically, same. So the only question is self-confidence. I am a human being. Now here, you Indian, particularly the children who come from low caste or poorer section of people, you should develop self-confidence. We are same human being. I think many ancient Indian great scholars, they have sort of family background. Some are very poor, come from poor family. But through their hard work and practice, eventually become top scholars, top sort of spiritual leaders. Like that. So I think, so therefore, the poorer section of people, you should develop self-confidence and will, because of the willpower, like that. That way, eventually, you see this gap, rich and poor, can reduce. Why we need that kind of effort? Same human being, some become millionaire, very rich, same human being, some in daily sort of food, difficult. It is totally wrong, morally wrong, but also practically source of problem. Therefore, now in order to become more equal, education is the key factor. So your organization pay much attention about, they provide facility education to younger generation, particularly less privileged people. So really wonderful, really wonderful. I really appreciate. So I not only just express appreciation, the word, empty word. I decided from my sort of trust, Dalai Lama's trust, I want give you some donation. Oh. Okay. I don't know how many sort of money in my trust. I don't know. So I am going to ask the concerns of the people. I think, if possible, next 5 years, annually, 25 lakhs. After 5 years, the Dalai Lama become poor. Then I cannot sort of donate you.
You will be very rich in knowledge.
So I really, when I seeing the children, particularly children in different parts of the world, facing starvation and dying, complete negligence. So I really feel sometimes tears come, but I cannot do anything. So like Save the Children Fund and the Human Rights sort of organization, including some UN sort of part, I really feel, there are some people who look after this wonderful. So now here, you one of them, taking care. So really wonderful. So now India, I feel very important. Firstly, my selfish viewpoint, now India is the home. My last 59 years, India is my home. Since 1959, I became refugee. Then 1 year at Mussoorie, and 58 years at Dharamsala, Kangra. So India is my home. Not only now home of this physical, but my sort of the brain filled by Nalendra thought. So in a way, I'm quite proud to say I'm student of a Nalendra tradition. Truly. So, there's a Nalendra tradition. Now I realize really gives me meaningful life and also give me the proper way to utilize human intelligence, human brain. Because Nalendra tradition very much emphasis on reason, experiment, not faith. I think I respect all major religious tradition, wonderful, all carry message of love. And in order to practice successfully about love, you also need practice of tolerance, forgiveness, self-discipline, these things. This all major religious tradition, whether theistic religion or non-theistic religion. But then differences, as I mentioned earlier, since Nalendra tradition, the key sort of message is self-creation. So everything depends on yourself. So that brings determination If I do, I make effort, I can achieve that. So therefore, we extensively use logic, reasoning. So therefore, now last over 30 years, I have serious discussion with modern scientists, great scientists, professors. I never attend one class in modern education. But when we sit together, the great modern, or say the scholars, particularly scientists, I'm a student of 1,000-year-old, I think around 2,000-year-old, so the India's tradition. When we sit together and discuss, it is not nice saying by myself, but the reality when we sit together, I think my explanation, my answer is, I think, much deeper than modern scientists. The psychology. I always was telling people, and also public talks also I'm mentioning, sometimes I express, the ancient Indian psychology, knowledge about emotion, knowledge about mind is highly developed. So compare that, modern psychology looks like kindergarten level. Ancient Indian knowledge really highly developed and very precise. The whole system of our mind, whole system of our emotion, with a fuller knowledge, much easier to tackle this disturbed emotion, how to develop, how to strengthening positive emotion, such as compassion, these things. And then how to tackle these destructive emotions such as anger, jealousy, fear, like that. So although these things come from religious text, but I always emphasize these should take as an academic subject, not religious subject, like that. So I really feel ancient Indian knowledge, not only ancient one, or the ancient knowledge of India, but now today it's quite relevant, whole world. Now we can see world. There is some kind of crisis of moral principle and crisis of inner peace. So including leaders, their own mind, too much emotion. So as a result, people suffer a lot. So today's world, 21st century, materially highly developed, but human inner peace is concerned, we really facing some problem. In that respect, now, in order to bring inner peace, relying on drugs, alcohol, or a few days picnic, is a superficial method, and temporary method, superficial. The real sort of tranquility, peace, must come through training of mind. So in order to carry training of mind, we should have fuller knowledge about the whole system of emotion. So that is now ancient Indian tradition, Nalanda tradition. I never sort of propagating Buddhism, but one unique thing about Buddha Dharma, particularly according to Nalanda tradition, Buddha himself used to state it, "Oh, my follower, monks, scholars should not accept my teaching out of faith and devotion, but rather thorough investigation and experiment. That's a very scientific way. So therefore, some of the Nalanda master, like Nagarjuna, they rejected some of Buddha's own teaching. If you accept this teaching, it go against reason. Therefore, we should take liberty to reject Buddha's own word. I think that's quite unique, and particularly Nalanda tradition. So therefore, I usually describe Buddha Shakyamuni. One way, of course, founder of Buddhism. Or one way, he great thinker, great philosopher. In his teaching, quantum physics, essence of quantum physics, already there. So one occasion, Raja Ramana, Indian nuclear physicist, he told me, quantum physics in the West, some new idea, new concept. But in this country, 2,000 years ago, already that concept developed. He found in Nagarjuna's writing, that concept he found there. So he told me like that. So therefore, I think Buddhist concept. So therefore, Buddha, great thinker. And then one aspect of Buddha is scientist. Emphasis, importance of reasoning, investigation, experiment, not faith. Like that. So these are your tradition. Not originally, not Tibetan tradition. We simply, learned these traditions, particularly 8th century. The great master of Nalanda, great logician, great philosopher, Shanta Rakshita, he invited by Tibetan emperor in 8th century. Since then, we rigorously study, at least 20, 30 years study. The root text learn by heart, memorize. Me also, as a young, young student, I think around 7 years, I already started memorizing some of these texts. So at that time, I very, very reluctant. When this is my time for my lesson come, one morning, one afternoon, about 3 o'clock, my teacher come. So around 2 o'clock, then the whole sky become dark. I got that kind of feeling. At that 3 o'clock, some lesson or learn, memorizing like that. So I was very, very lazy student. At that time, I have no interest about these things. Eventually, I realized, those things which I study, learned, really, firstly, very realistic. Secondly, very relevant to today's our emotion. According to my own experience, and also some of my friends who also learn these things and practice. So not only the small Buddhist group, but also seems now whole humanity now need some of these ancient Indian knowledge. The way training our mind, irrespective whether believer or non-believer, just consider just like academic subject. And then these days usually I describing hygiene of physical in our education field there. So now similarly we need hygiene of emotion. That only in this country you see, start that practice. The other country, difficult. So therefore, you, Indian, according to my own experience, your traditional knowledge about inner world is really marvelous, very relevant to today's world. In order to make significant contribution for rest of the world, firstly, this ancient Indian knowledge must revival within the country. So, gradually, with my money, it is. Since now I have make some donation, so I also certain right to watch, to examine your activities. so at least a few thousand, I'll say this, scholars or students, mainly monk. Since I think early 60s, while rehabilitation program carried with the immense help from Indian government and various sort of state government. Now eventually we re-establish ancient sort of learning center, mainly monastic institution. So now already I think a few thousand scholars available. So since I saw some possibility, so I suggested some of these scholars should learn English and Hindi and some of the local Indian language, like Malayalam, like that. So now at least around 100, you see, I think ready, you see, to participate in education field. The subject, this ancient Indian knowledge, logic, not Buddhism, Buddhist practice, but logic and philosophy. So in future, you see, we can discuss. I think at least, you see, a few months course, I think we can provide some teacher and some sort of teaching. So I'm looking forward as your sort of firstly here, and then eventually the other your sort of institution. I think with vision, future of world, and for that, firstly, future of India. India, I think, as I mentioned earlier, modern India, general education is a much developed, but the existing modern education is very much oriented about material value. Look outside, not thinking inside. So India is the only nation who can make a combination modern education which has the concern about material development, material value. That also very important. But at the same time, your ancient knowledge, you see, bring inner peace, transformation of our emotion. No other country have that potential. Only India. Within Buddhist country, Sri Lanka, Burma, Thailand, mainly Pali tradition, not much reasoning. So Nalanda tradition, the China, Tibet, and Mongolia, and Japan, Korea, is in the Vietnam, these supposed to be follower of Nalanda tradition. But they not pay much attention for study, just a chanting. One occasion, you see, one Japanese sort of abbot. He himself scholar. Eventually we become a very close friend. So one occasion he frankly told me, every Japanese Buddhist recite one sort of sutra, but without knowing the meaning. He told me that. So he he expressed to me, this is my explanation. That sutra is, he feel very, very useful. So like that, these suppose follow of Nalanda tradition, because it's not pay much attention for study, so they do not know the meaning. Whereas in Tibetan case, as I mentioned earlier, 20, 30 years we study. Yeah. So therefore, now that knowledge, now within Tibet, since early 60s, I sort of appeal all Tibetan monasteries, you should start serious study. In previously, some sort of learning center, wonderful there, as I mentioned briefly, but many monastery not study, but chanting. So I criticize. That's backwardness, like that. Also including nunnery. I suggest to them, I appeal them, they should carry same way to study. So now last year, about 20 nuns become top scholar. I give them certain degree last year, like that. So then, not only monks, nuns, I also appealing to lay people should, whether Buddhist, whether individual become Buddhist or not, different matter. But certain concept, certain idea, and including logic, which is, you see, Nalanda Buddhist tradition, that I think for everybody, you see, the Kasoda, relevant to learn these things. It really sharpening our mind. I have one sort of story. I think last year, when I visit Men, Tawang, this area. This year, okay. So, because of my mind quite sharp, so now memory that happened last year or this year, I can't remember. So now he make a correction. So when I, you see, visiting there, some different places, from Delhi, one politician joined with me. So a few days we together. So we become very close friend. So then one day he asked me, how you asleep, rest. Then I told him, yes, no question. I always 9 hours sleep. Then at least 4 to 5 hours meditation, sharpening my mind so that I can easily cheat other people. Then his answer, you see, his response was very good, very funny. He can spend only 6 hours sleep, so he cannot cheat other people. So like that, you see, these things are not only, I think traditionally, the monks to carry these things. Now I introduce nuns also should carry. And also lay people now should pay more attention, study these things. Now this is not only monks and nuns' business, but lay people also. Now I appeal from Ladakh to Arunachal. So now in this area, even some lay people, now some lay people, showing more learning these things. That's the way. And as far as Buddhist is concerned, these days I sort of publicly express now Buddhist. We should be 21st century Buddhist, not just carrying some ritual or some puja. No, study these philosophical things, which eventually very well go together with modern science. So that's very good, like that. So now finally, of course, I prefer some question answer. So finally, I very much appreciate all your work. Really, I really appreciate. Sometimes I feel I have some brain. With that brain, some visions. But then, you see, lacking who implementing these things. So usually I expressing, I have this brain, but only 2 hands, nothing can be done. So now you, your organization, I have full confidence you are my additional hand, can implement these things. So, thank you. Thank you. So thank you, you invited me. And then also, say, when I enter, young student, you see, when I, so when I saw this young student, I also feel younger. When I see or meet my long-time old friend, old, then sometimes I feel, you should go first, or I should go first. When these young people come, young people met, something very fresh. In any way, time always moving. No force can stop time. So past is past. We can only learn what happened, but no way to change. Future not yet come. We can change future. So, the younger generation, I usually describe, generation of 21st century. Now you have the opportunity, you have the responsibility to create this century, better century, peaceful century, compassionate century. That's your responsibility. My generation, the generation of 20th century, now we will not see, only we sort of share our own experience to young people. The work the young people should carry. Sometimes I jokingly telling people, after 20, 30 years, even I may in hell, Bishop Tutu, we become very, very the unique close friendship. So we always teasing each other. So he always described me mischievous Dalai Lama. Then I respond, mischievous bishop. So one day, you see, he mentioned he as a Christian practitioner, he ready to go heaven. Dalai Lama will go another place. That is hell. I mean, according to theistic religion, believe God, or there is possibility to reach heaven, the non-believer go there. So even after, say, 15, 20 years, I will go. So even I, in hell, I will get permission, come to Europe, come to world to see what is the situation. So these generation of 21st century, if you take care about world, better world, peaceful world, then I will report when I return to hell. Or now hell can reduce. Size of hell can reduce. If, see, this generation of the 21st century, still carrying violence and bully, cheating, then when I return, I will report, oh, hell not only need to keep, but also should expand. So now, all our hope on you, these young children. So, in order to make a significant contribution for a better world, firstly, you need determination, and education, and sense of universal responsibility. That's very important. Thank you. Now some questions. Okay.
Thank you very much, Your Holiness, for
Thank you.
countless lives and uplifting the spirits of all those who are inside the hall, as well as around the world, listening to you with your simple words of wisdom and compassion. So with your permission, Your Holiness,
Yes.
I'd like to take some questions from the children that I've brought. We have several schools here, and the children from those schools who would like to ask you some questions.
Yes.
So we begin with Esther. Esther, please stand. If the microphone can be sent to her,
Yeah.
please ask your question.
My question is, why do negative thoughts and actions attract human beings more than positive thoughts?
Actually, anger or attachment related with self-centered attitude, me. So, basically, for survival, even flowers, sort of trees, they also have certain sort of cell, which you see receive those things which are useful for their survival, and also some cell to expel something harming for their survival. So similarly, we, sentient being, not only this physical, but also mind or emotion. So within the emotion, a certain emotion, you see, defending or protect yourself. Some sort of obstacle things, harmful things come, anger come, expel. Attachment bring, love, attachment bring together. But then we, sometimes I think these emotions become, because of the extreme way, then very harmful. So now, because of the taking care of oneself, it's logically very important. Taking care of yourself, very important. But then, you see, these emotions become more extreme way, then create trouble within our own community. Finally, yourself, your health, because your mind much disturbed. As a result, too much anxiety, too much stress, and anger, very, very harmful for your own physical health. So, that's very harmful for your whole life. So like that. So now, we also have the, by nature, we also have this sort of potential to tackle these things because of our brain. Animal, limited love, limited sort of anger, but not human anger, thinking thousands of people how to kill. Animal cannot do. All this because of this brain. So our brain, marvelous our brain, become disposal of anger, or then very dangerous, very harmful. Okay. So you see, analyze, as I mentioned earlier, analytical meditation is very, very important. Yes, next question?
Good morning, sir. My question is, where do you get your inspiration from, and who is your role model?
Karsa. As a student of Nalanda master, so like, of course, Buddha, sort of the Kwame founder or teacher, and then particularly like Nagarjuna, I really found immense benefit the Nagarjuna sort of concept or theory, and including how to tackle emotion. Because the most destructive emotion, very much based on appearances. So there is a huge gap, appearances and deeper reality. So now quantum physics also now talking the deeper reality. So already some quantum physicists who not only sort of understand intellectual, but deeply believe that, convinced that, you see, there are sort of also some sort of extreme way of emotion. Oh, this is good, and attachment. This is bad, anger, less. One my friend, one American, Kasakuminti, Aaron Beck, now he's now around 100-year-old. So I first met him, then his age already 84. He, scientist, mainly dealing with disturbed sort of mind, some sort of through anger and hatred, much disturbed. He treated these people. So at least I think a few decades, say, according to his own sort of professional work, and his conclusion, one conclusion is when people feel anger, the object that person feel angry appears very negative, but 90% of that negativeness is angry person's own mental projection. He told me. That's exactly Master Nagarjuna mentioned that. So the Buddhist theory of, you see, nothing independently exists. Everything interrelated. So now I think obviously we can feel, we can judge. Today, one person you feel enemy, angry. But then after a few days, due to some other sort of certain circumstances, you're angry. A few days ago, feel very bad. That's really very bad. After a few days, due to certain sort of information, you feel, oh, not that bad. Then after a few days, oh, that's a good person. Then eventually, a few weeks ago, you were enemy. Few weeks after, become a friend. So that means you much because of the emphasis on the appearances, and there too much sort of the exaggeration. So all destructive, negative, destructive emotion, very much based on superficial appearances. So for that deeper understanding is the antidote to reduce intensity of that. So now recently, a few years, since last few years, I have some sort of curiosity or genuine quantum physicist. Maybe their emotion, some differences. So I already sort of asked some occasion, I asked if you see you have the opportunity to observe these quantum physicists, their mental attitude, emotional attitude, maybe some differences. Nobody answered that. But recently I heard one article wrote by one Chinese quantum physicist in mainland China. I heard that article. In it, he mentioned the person or scientist who now fully convinced nothing objectively exists. You see, that person, you see, there are sort of also the extreme way, this is good, this is bad, much reduced, much less. So this already now scientifically already show that extreme view is the basis of anger and attachment and these negative things, negative emotion. The positive emotion, such as love, kindness, although generally our love very much mixed with attachment, that's biased. So unbiased love can extend your enemy. Biased love, only your friend. So through training, we can develop unbiased love. Now that not based on exaggerated kasota outlook, but through training, through familiarize. So there's differences. Destructive emotion, spontaneous, without proper sound basis. Positive emotion, sound basis. So through training, you can increase year by year. The destructive emotion, no matter how powerful, very short, temporary. Okay, that's according to Nalanda tradition. Your tradition. We Tibetan, before Nalanda tradition come, we little bit warrior. Sword, spear. We don't care about our inner value. The only Shantarakshita reached Tibet and teach us Nalanda tradition. Then we Tibetan become a more compassionate, peaceful, non-violent nation. So sometimes I jokingly teasing my Indian friend, if Tibet still remain our previous sort of way of life, warrior, like Mongol, Chinese invasion may not take place. So since your message of non-violence or compassion come, we become much sort of peaceful. So Chinese communists take advantage. So one cause, we lost our freedom. You also have the responsibility. But I think our non-violent way struggle. Yeah. You see, now more and more Chinese people very much appreciate. As a totalitarian system, these millions of Chinese who really showing genuine sense of concern about Tibet and very much appreciate Tibetan knowledge about Nalanda. So immediately their feeling cannot sort of change. They are, reach their top leaders. But gradually, now I think last few years, things now changing about our sort of basic sort of our attitude, non-violent, and also you see respect Chinese brothers, sisters. Same. We are not seeking independence or separation. I really admire European spirit, European Union spirit. So national sovereignty, these are in ancient time important, modern time not much sort of important. I really admire the India, East India, South India, West India, North India, Central India, different script, different language, but with spirit of one India, Indian Union. Wonderful, wonderful. Recently I was in Manipur. At the press meeting, some people say, oh, some Manipur politicians want independence. Then I mentioned, oh, think more broadly, more holistic. Then union is very, very important. Of course, I have no right to criticize, but the Spain's Catalonia, I think too much short-sighted. I think now time come. Think oneness of Europe, European. Here already have now oneness of India. So this country, compare neighboring state, this country, most stable, most peaceful. If South Indian, oh, we want independence, or East India, we want independence, then I think more quarrel may happen. So now time come, think more broadly. Common interest and long-sighted that you already implement. Wonderful. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Please move to the side. Allow the children to come down.